Hi everyone. Okay, so we're doing problem number 12 on the factoring practice sheet. And in this problem, I'm trying to factor and solve. So the first thing I want to do when factoring is to get everything over to one side. So I'm going to move this negative 3 over to the other side, and I'm going to get 9a squared minus 24a minus 105 is equal to 0. The next thing you should always look for when factoring is a greatest common factor, a GCF. So if I look at 9, 24, and 105, I notice that they all have a 3 in common. So I'm going to divide this entire equation by 3, and I'm going to put that 3 on the outside, and then what's left over is going to be 3a squared minus 8a minus 35. And that's still going to equal 0. Okay, so next I'm going to see that I still have the 3 in front of this a squared. So I still have a leading coefficient that's not 1, which means I'm either going to have to factor by guess and check or by grouping. So in this video, I'm going to show you the grouping method. So the first thing that you want to do for grouping is to multiply a times c. So this is your a term, this is your b term, and this is your c term. So off to the side, I'm going to write AC is equal to, and it's going to be negative 105, and your B term is equal to negative 8. So I have to think of two numbers that add to B and multiply to AC. And thinking about numbers that multiply to AC, that's negative 105. In order to multiply to a negative, I need a positive and a negative number. And the difference between them can't be that large, only negative 8. So that means that the negative number has to be bigger, and the difference between the numbers is not too big. So we don't want to go with 35 and 3. What about 7? If we divide 105 by 7, I get 7 and 15, and that'll give me negative 8. So this should be negative 15 and positive 7, and those are going to be my factors. Okay, so next, I want to take this middle term, this negative 8a, and I want to break it up into two separate terms. And I'm going to use 7 and negative 15. So I'm going to rewrite this entire thing. So the GCF from way in the beginning, I'm just going to take that, put it on the outside and circle it. Just bring it down so that we know, it's still there, but it's going to have nothing to do with factoring these insides, all these inside terms. So next I'm going to break up my middle. So this becomes 3a squared. The outside stay exactly the same. And I'm going to put minus 15a. I like to put the minus one first, only because it's going to be easier when taking out the GCF later. And then plus 7a minus 35 is equal to 0. Next, I want to group the first two terms and group the second two terms. There should be a plus sign between these two terms. So if there's a minus sign, put it inside the parentheses and then put a plus sign in between. Next, I want to look for a GCF just in this binomial here. So I notice that my GCF is 3a. They both have an a inside and they both have a 3 in common. So I'm going to rewrite my outside GCF 3, and then I'm going to put 3a on the outside of these parentheses, and then on the inside I'm going to get a minus 5. In this set of parentheses, I'm going to look for another GCF. So here, you're going to notice that they have 7 in common. So I'm going to take that 7 and put it on the outside, and I'm going to be left over with a minus 5. And all that still equals 0. Now notice that a minus 5 and a minus 5 match up. So we're really happy about that because this is now actually a GCF. So a minus 5 and a minus 5 match. Now I can take that and actually bring it out itself. So the 3 is still, we're just bringing it down, just that outside GCF. And now I'm going to have a minus 5 in one set of parentheses, And what's left over when I take out the a minus 5 is a 3a plus 7. So when the a minus 5 match, we can pull it out and write it once on the outside. And then what's left over is 3a plus 7. And that's going to equal 0. So my final factored form, I'm going to write up here, is 3 times a minus 5 times 3a plus 7 is equal to 0. And now factoring is really just like taking a really big complicated equation and turning it into smaller little kind of like individual serving size equations. So notice that there's 3 separate sections to this equation. Now 3. If you set 3 equal to 0, that's totally bogus. It doesn't make any sense. So the 3 is never going to help you find x. But this a minus 5, that's one section, so we can set a minus 5 equal to 0 as one equation, and we get a is equal to 5. And then for this one, we get 3a plus 7 is equal to 0. So we get 3a is equal to negative 7, and a is equal to negative 7 over 3. Now with geometry, we should always check for extraneous answers, but since this isn't a triangle or a length, we're okay with both of them. And we're done.